Okay, we've got this question here. It says, suppose the ERB grants your firm a license to directly sell electricity to consumers, as indicated by an estimated residential demand function for electricity. So this is our demand function here, right? It tells us where the amount of electricity consumed sells for 0.44 per unit, good Y sells for 1 kwacha per unit. The company utilizes 2,000 units of advertising on public information, campaigns, and consumer education regarding electricity. And consumer income is 10,000. We have three questions here. First, how much electricity should the consumers purchase? Number two, are the quantities of electricity and why substitutes or complements? Three, is electricity a normal or an inferior good? So before we begin solving this question, we have to understand what is happening here. Okay. We've been given this demand function for electricity. Okay, QD equals 12,000 minus 3px plus 4py minus m plus 2a. So what this demand function is telling us is that the quantity demanded for electricity is dependent on the price of electricity, the price of good Y, consumers' income, and advertising. Okay, those are the four variables the quantity demanded is dependent on. So the first part is saying how much electricity should consumers purchase. Okay, so we've been given this information here. Amount of electricity is sold at 0.44 per unit. So this is PX, the price of electricity. So here on our demand function here, going to be equals 12,000 minus 3. So PX, the price of electricity, which is 0.44, plus 4PY, or plus 4. Then PY, Y sells for 1 kwacha per unit. So PY is 1 kwacha. So plus 4, open brackets, Y, and 1 kwacha, we substitute PY with 1 kwacha, minus M. M is the income, which is 10,000, plus 2A. Advertising will be told is 2,000 units. So, madam, just use your calculator. What values do we get here when we substitute? What is the final answer? Are you there, madam? Okay. Then we'll compare it with my answer. Oh, I have my answer also. Let's see. 10,027 or like, all right, let me see. I got 6,002.68. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's 8,000. Let's see. Here it's two. So two times 2,000. Yes, yes, yes. So two times 2,000, then you get 4,000. Okay. Then try this tabulation again. Let's see what you get. All right. That's how much electricity then needs to be the question the consumer should purchase. Okay. Any questions on that part? Hmm. How do you identify? In the question, it will be actually it will be direct to you because have you seen here? Um, we've been told this is a demand function for electricity, and they've said here where the amount of electricity consumed sells for 0.44. So as you can see here, this demand function it's QDX. So that's the quantity demanded for good X, which is electricity. So meaning that PX should be the price of that good. Okay. You know that the first part, and it will be once you know what good the demand function is. Yes, then you know that. Then they will tell you in the question what the price of that good is. So here, since we know that electricity is good X, they told us, and this is a demand function for electricity, and here they've told us where the amount of electricity consumed sells for 0.44. Then there you know, okay, that's PX. Yes, and they would be able to tell you, okay, the amount for good Y, as you can see here, good Y, they've told you, good Y sells for 1 quarter, so you know it's PY. M usually means income. So when you see M, it's income. A advertising, you can you'll be able to tell that okay, A is for advertising. Yes. Okay. Next part is are the quantities of electricity and Y substitutes or complements. So here when they're asking you about substitute and complements, the two variables you're going to look at, since here we're talking about the relationship between good x and good y. So in this equation, we're focusing on the quantity demanded for good x and the price of good y. Okay, because we want to find out if x and y are substitutes or complements. All right. So now this sign in front of 4 py, this plus sign, is going to tell you the relationship that the price of good Y has with the quantity demanded for good X. Okay. This plus sign, what it's telling us is that there is a positive relationship between the price of good Y and the quantity demanded of good X. So what I mean is there's a positive relationship between the price of good Y and quantity demanded of good X. Because of this plus sign here before 4py. Now, what do I mean by a positive relationship? A positive relation. Oh, go ahead. Oh no, you try. Not the price of the other item, the quantity demanded. Yes. So if the price of good Y goes up, the quantity demanded of good X goes up. Positive relationship. Meaning, so are they substitutes or complements? Maybe even before I ask you that, what I know we know what the substitutes are. What about complements? That's substitute. When you say when one good can be used in place of another, that's substitution there. Yes. When you say one good can be used in place of another, those are substitute goods. Complement goods, what you should have said is they're used hand in hand, they're used together, right? Goods is phone and a screen protector, car and fuel, phone and a SIM card. Okay? Examples of complements, right? They're used together, yes. They're used together. And the complementary good by itself, or let me put it in a better way. A complement is a good that is used with another good. Okay, it's a good that is used with another good, and if that other good is not around, the complement is basically of less value or useless. Okay, it's a good used with another good, and if the other good is not there, the complement can be useless or of no value. So when you say, for example, a phone and a screen protector, we say the screen protector is the complementary good. Meaning, if you don't have a phone, what's the purpose of a screen protector, right? Mhm. If you don't have a car, what's the purpose of fuel? Mhm. So yes. So now, in that example, where we say, for example, for a phone and a screen protector, right? We say the screen protector is a complementary good. If the price of the phone goes up, okay, in this assumption, we say there's only one phone being sold, okay, and there's a screen protector. If the price of phone go up, it means people buy less phones, right? And if people buy less phones, it means they buy less screen protector. Yes. So there's a negative relationship. The price of the good has gone up, quantity demanded of the complementary has gone down. You see? There's a negative relationship. If the price of phones goes down, people buy more phones. When they buy phones, they'll buy screen protectors. The quantity demanded for screen protectors is going to go up, right? Mm. That's a negative relationship. Now with substitutes, Coca-Cola and Pepsi. If the let's say Pepsi is a substitute good. If the price of Pepsi goes up, it means people you substitute it with Coca-Cola, right? And when they're substituting it with Coca-Cola, it means quantity demanded for Coca-Cola is going up, right? So there's a positive relationship there. So due to the positive sign in front of py, we say the positive coefficient. Okay, if the positive coefficient, uh, electricity and good y as substitutes. Okay, meaning if the price of good y goes up, people stop buying good y and they start buying more electricity. Although I don't know um, what goodwill is, basically. Because okay, yeah, yeah, also, yeah, that makes sense. I think in this context, yeah. So if the price of solar panels goes up, people will go back to Zesco and buy more unit. Okay, madam. So if there was a minus sign, then we would have said they are complements. So take note of that. Okay. Yeah. So due to the positive coefficient of PY, there is a positive relationship between the price of good Y, quantity demanded of good X, meaning these two are substitute goods. Okay. So when it's positive, substitutes. If it's negative, complements. Just remember that. Okay. Next is electricity a normal or an inferior good? So here now you have to look at the relationship between quantity demanded of electricity and the income of people. So what is a normal good and what is an inferior good? Yes, when your income increases, you buy more of that good. And an inferior good, when income reduces, they buy more. When income increases, they buy less. Okay. Normal good, normal good, when income increases, you buy more of that good. Inferior, when income increases, you buy less. So think of someone who drinks shake. When their income increases, they'll stop buying shake and they'll start buying lagers, castle, and whatever. So their income increases, they stop buying shake. So quantity demanded of shake goes down, right? So normal good, when your income rises, you buy more of that good. If your income drops, you buy less of that good. So normal goods, that's a positive relationship, right? When your income increases, you buy more of the good. When income increases, M increases, Q also increases. If your income drops, you buy less of the normal good. That's a positive relationship. Then inferior goods, if your income increases, you buy less. Okay. If your income increases, you buy less. And if your income reduces, you buy more. That's a negative relationship, right? Yeah. And quantity demanded. Both of we're looking at the relationship between income and quantity demanded. They change. They change. So if the income increases, they stop buying chiwoko. They now buy something else. So you say quantity demanded of chiwoko will go down due to an increase in income there. So just remember, when you're looking at normal and inferior goods, you're comparing income and quantity demanded. So if your income increases and the quantity demanded of the good increases, you're dealing with a normal good. Okay? Like tea, for example. If your income increases, you can buy more tea. Okay? Then inferior good, when your income increases, you buy less of it or even stop buying it at all. Okay? So the quantity demanded of the inferior good will go down. So here in this question here, we can see there's a minus sign in front of M, indicating there's a negative relationship between the income and quantity demanded of electricity. Meaning, if people's income goes up, quantity demanded of electricity is going to go down. And if people's income goes down, quantity demanded of electricity goes up. So in this case, we'll say electricity is inferior. Any questions? Yes. Yes. If it's for substitutes and complements, you're just comparing the price of the other good and the quantity demanded of your good. Okay. They are comparing price and quantity. And if it's inferior or normal goods, you're now comparing income and quantity. Which brings us also to the next portion. I know it's not part of this question, but you will deal with these questions in managerial economics. Price elasticity of demand, cross price elasticity of demand, and income elasticity of demand. Those are going to tell us, those can also be used to tell us if the goods are complements or substitutes, and if they are more inferior goods. Okay. And then, yeah. So let's look at first price elasticity of demand. What do we remember from what's the definition of price elasticity of demand? Okay. How quantity demanded responds to changes in price. Okay, that's price elasticity of demand. How quantity demanded responds to changes to price. Okay. So price elasticity of demand can be in two forms, elastic or inelastic. So when you say demand is elastic, there's also unit elastic, perfect elastic, but the ones you commonly be seeing is elastic and inelastic. Okay. And so when we talk about elasticity, we're just saying how responsive something is. So when we say demand is elastic, think of a rubber band. A rubber band, when you stretch it, it responds, right? It responds and stretches to the amount you stretch it to, right? So, so when demand is elastic, it means is very responsive or sensitive to changes in price. Okay, it's very responsive to changes in price. Okay, meaning if you increase price even by 1%, according to the law of demand, remember when price goes up, quantity demanded will go down, right? You'll see quantity demanded drop by a big amount, let's say by 10% or even 20%. There, quantity demanded is sensitive or very responsive to changes in price. Okay, even a small price increment, it will have a big effect on quantity demanded. Okay, that's what elastic means when you say demand is elastic. A small change in price will have a big impact on quantity demanded. Are we clear with that? Any questions? So a perfect example, especially goods that have got a lot of substitutes, their demand is elastic. All right. So let's say for in this example here, we put again Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and all these other soft drinks, right? Coca-Cola just tries to raise the price of Coca-Cola by let's say 2 kwacha in this example here. If they try to raise the price of Coca-Cola by 2 kwacha, what you're going to find is people find Coca-Cola more expensive and start buying the other soft drinks. So you find quantity demanded for Coca-Cola is going to drop. Okay, because people found a lot of people found alternatives. Okay, so there you can say, okay, demand for Coca-Cola is elastic. Why? Because there are a lot of substitutes. So if you increase the price of Coca-Cola, even by a small amount, quantity demanded will be affected because people are going to buy other goods. Then when we say demand is inelastic, it's then we're saying it is not sensitive or there's no big response by quantity demanded. Okay, so for example, inelastic, you can increase the price by 20%, increase price by 20%, but you find quantity demanded will just drop by 5%. Okay, quantity demanded just drops by 5%. It means here quantity demanded is not sensitive to price changes, or it's not very responsive to changes in price. So even though you increase the price, quantity demanded is not going to change because demand is inelastic. So one reason demand for a good can be inelastic is if the good is like a necessity. Think of medicine. Okay, think of someone who's on cancer treatment. All right, they need that to survive. So if they increase the price of cancer treatment, a lot of people won't stop it because they don't want to die, right? So they'll still pay for that cancer treatment. Maybe some will stop, the unfortunate ones, but you find those who can manage, they'll still continue on. Okay. Even if a good has got no substitutes like salt, okay, you can imagine salt has got no substitute. So let's say in this example, we'll assume that there's only one company that produces salt in the nation. And if they increase the price of salt even by 50%, there's no substitutes. Okay. There's no substitute. So you have to still buy salt. That is about price elasticities. So sometimes they can ask you, like for here, if you want to find, we can find out here if the demand for electricity is elastic or inelastic. Okay, so in case this question they have to ask you, is the demand for electricity elastic or inelastic? This is the formula you're going to use. Okay. Price, price elasticity of demand, PED. It's the partial derivative of the demand function, QDX, over this partial derivative of QDX multiplied by the price of good X over the quantity. Okay. The partial derivative of this demand function with respect to x, to px, sorry here, I had to put px. What we're just saying here is when we derive this demand function, if a number doesn't have a px, it will disappear. Okay, this is what this first part say. Partial derivative of the demand function with respect to px. This Greek that I've written here, just make it. That's what I'm saying. That this Greek here. Okay. Ignore this for now. This what is just saying. It's just that what it's saying is when you derive the demand function, if a number doesn't have px, it goes away. If you land, if you derive this demand function with respect to px, it means so let's even derive it. Okay, it means so you will see. Okay, 12,000 doesn't have a px, it goes. 4py, that's not a px, it goes. M, there's no px with it, it goes. 2ax, there's no px with it, it goes. Okay, so now we just have to derive this negative 3px. We have to derive it. Now, here's a recap of deriving. Okay, if you remember from calculus, let's say, for example, you're deriving 3x squared. When you're deriving, you multiply the power times the coefficient, the number in front of the rate. 2 times 3, then you subtract a 1 from the power. 2 minus 1, so the derivative is 6x. That is the derivative, 6x. So we're applying this same principle here. Now it's negative 3px. Okay. So the way we're treating x is the same way we treat px. Okay. This px will say it's px to the power 1. Okay. Instead of x, like in this example, it's px. So you multiply 1 times negative 3. What do you get? Negative 3. Then when you subtract a 1 from this power of px, 1 minus 1, 0. Okay. So px to the power 0. Now anything to the power 0 is the same as 1. So px to the power 0 is. So here we can just write negative 3. Any questions? Mhm. Then we already have the price of good x, 0.44. We already have the quantity. Remember this question where it said how much electricity should consumers purchase? That would be yes, 6,000 here. Or 6,000.28, huh? Let's see. So, so 6,000. Okay. So now 0.44 divided by 6,000, 2.68. 7.44 divided by 6,000, 2.68. Okay, that 7.3 e to the power negative 5. It just means there are five zeros in front of. Hmm. So, okay, we multiply that by negative 3. We get negative 0.00. When you multiplied the answer for this times negative 3, you get 0.00219. Divide 0.44 divided by 6,000, 2.68. You get that 0.0007, and then you multiply it by negative 3. 0.44 divided by 6,000, 2.68. You get 0.000733. That's 0.000733 when you multiply it by negative 3. Because once you've divided, then you multiply by negative 3. Why? Why are you doing that? Hmm? Once you get that answer, multiply it directly by 3. No need to divide by 1,000 or anything. Just once you've done the division, multiply by 3 and you get your answer. Okay. So once you've done this tabulation, okay, this answer, you get a negative value. So with price elasticity of demand, you have to get the absolute value of your answer, meaning you have to ignore the negative sign. Do you know why we're ignoring this negative sign? Do you know why we're ignoring the negative sign? Oh, Yes, where was I kicked out from? Mm-hmm. Oh, you are breaking. You are breaking, madam. You are breaking. You are breaking. Mm-mm, you are breaking. You are breaking. Let me just finish the recording first because you are breaking. Let me just finish the recording first. Yes. So yes, once you get your price elasticity of demand, it will be a negative number. So you have to get the absolute value, meaning you have to ignore the negative sign. The reason why we're doing this is because due to the law of demand, when price goes up, quantity demanded will go down. Or when price goes down, quantity demanded will go up. So you always have a negative value due to the law of demand. And whenever you are tabulating price elasticity of demand, any negative value, it will represent that the demand will be inelastic. So to avoid always interpreting your demand as uh, inelastic because it's always going to be negative, you have to ignore the negative sign. Okay, and you just look at the number as it is for you to determine whether demand is elastic or inelastic. So this 0.000219, we ignore the sign, and then now we're able to interpret. If your PED, the price elasticity of demand, is less than 1, demand is inelastic. So this value we've got, it's less than 1. So it means demand for electricity is inelastic. Okay. Quantity demanded for electricity is not sensitive or responsive to changes in price. Then for number 2 and number 3, this one we can use cross price elasticity of demand. Cross price elasticity of demand, it's also going to help us tell if a good is a substitute or a complement. Okay, your cross price elasticity of demand is positive, substitutes. Cross price elasticity of demand is negative, complements. So if they ask you to get the cross price elasticity of demand, this is the formula. You derive the demand function QDX with respect to PY multiplied by PY over Q. That's how you get your cross price elasticity of demand. So it means in our demand function here, if any number doesn't have a PY, it goes. So here the 12,000 goes, the negative 3px goes, negative m goes, 2ax goes. We only remain with this 4py. So this 4py is like to the power 1. When we derive, we say 1 times 4, that is 4. So this is going to equal to, say equals to 4. We subtract a 1 from the py, 1 minus 1, that is 0. Py to the power 0 is 1. So when we derive this 4py, we get 4, okay? Multiplied by price of good y, 1 quarter over the quantity demanded, which is 6,002.68. So 1 divided by 6,000, 2.8, 2.68, it is 0.000166 multiplied by 4, you get 0.0066. So since this answer is positive, okay, it's not a negative value, it's a positive value. So it tells you the goods are substitutes. Okay, it will tell you the goods are substitutes. So in our next lesson, we're going to see how we can get the income elasticity of demand, which will determine if a good is a normal or an inferior good.